Hey, it's Kasim with Solutions 8, and in this video, I want to show you the technical implementation for a YouTube ad campaign. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the creative this time because I feel like those are two separate conversations. The creative implementation will be a video coming, but right now I just want to show you, once you've had your video, your media, the videos that you want to use for advertising, once you have those created, what do you do with them? How do you build a YouTube ad campaign? So let's dive into it. I've got my account pulled up here, so ignore some of the mess. This is one of the accounts that we use just for some of our training and sales. So you'll notice that the very first thing you do is you go to campaigns and you click the little plus button and say new campaign. And now Google's going to ask you to select a goal. This is where it gets so frustrating, because what happens is when I select a goal, you'll notice, let's say I say sales, and then I go to video. Well, it says, okay, let's drive conversions. But if I say brand awareness and go to video, then now I have all these other really cool options that I didn't have when I said sales. And each of these kind of adjusts, this will be conversions too, adjusts what it is that Google makes available to you. Further, if I say sales and select video, then Google does this really cool thing where it gives me the opportunity to use my product feed and actually sell specific products. Whereas if I say leads and select video, then I get to use Google's lead forms if I have $50,000 in lifetime spend. So Google's putting on guardrails, think of them as training wheels. And prior to, generally what they used to do is when you selected a goal, they just limited what was available to you. Now, what they're doing is if you don't select a goal, they're limiting what's available to you. And they're not telling you in every instance what it is that you may not have access to. So it's getting a little absurd. It's getting frustrating. For lead generation specifically, I know in a lot of other videos we tell people not to select or to choose create a campaign without goals guidance. For search, this is still generally true. For videos, I'm going to have you select leads because we've noticed that the video campaigns perform better when you select this goal guidance. And this is Google's ongoing march towards machine learning and basically taking over my job. From leads, you're going to select video. It's going to default to drive conversions. We're going to say, okay. And now the fun begins, because here's Google lying to us. So we're just going to say test video campaign. Now you're going to get to use lead forms if your campaign is $50,000 in lifetime spend. If you don't have that, you don't get lead forms. It's no big deal. They're super cool. We've got a bunch of videos on how to use lead forms. I'm not going to use them for this video because I don't know whether or not you're going to have access to them. And I want to show you I want to show everybody how to use YouTube videos. So we'll ignore lead forms for now. We're just going to drive to a landing page, which is perfectly fine. But if you have the opportunity to use lead forms, make sure to check out the videos that we have on lead forms because they're pretty cool. Selecting your bid strategy. It only gives you two options: maximize conversions and target CPA. Here's what you're going to do. Pay very close attention to what I'm going to say. You're going to select maximize conversions first, and we're going to live with maximize conversions. Now, once you've achieved 5 to 10 conversions, let's call it 10. After you've achieved 10 conversions, then you're going to go in and you're going to change your bid strategy to target CPA. And then you're going to list your target CPA at whatever you feel like your cost per acquisition should be. And you should know what that number is because you were just at maximize conversions and you have 10 conversions. So you should know, okay, like my average conversion is $40 or whatever. Google says that $30 to $40. Don't trust these numbers. Go run maximize conversions first, so Google's not trying to back into a number, and then you'll know what your target CPA is. And then here's what you're going to do: is you're going to give, let's say that you're, for round numbers, let's say your target CPA is $50. Add 10% buffer to that, so your target CPA is going to be 55. So just to repeat, we're going to start with maximize conversions. Once you have 10 conversions, you go back into your campaign settings, and that could take, depending on your spend, it could take a couple days, could take a couple weeks. Hopefully not much longer than that, to be honest with you. If it takes more than a month to get 10 conversions, you might not be spending enough. And that depends on your cost per click too, so maybe I shouldn't have said that. But get 10 conversions under your belt. Once you know what, okay, my conversion is $20 or $50 or $100 or whatever, tack on 10% and then add it to your target CPA. And then every week or two, as long as Google's meeting those CPAs and your impression rate isn't dropping or your views aren't dying, then decrease that CPA by 10%. So you're going to start high basically, and then every week or two you're going to drop it by 10% until you see impressions die, until you see your view rate die, and then you know, okay, I found the CPA that works for me, and now you get to scale into that. So if you want to increase it, you can increase it, but this is the way to make the campaign as efficient as possible. Your budget's entirely up to you. I'd say a minimum of $20 a day in order to achieve critical mass from a data perspective. Now that's actually a pretty aggressive budget for video because views are so cheap. Now you're not necessarily paying for view in theory, but I just, the breadth that you get, the expansion that you get here is pretty solid. So if you needed to go less than that, I totally understand. Don't do the dollar per day thing. I know a bunch of other marketers push that out. It's great for split testing media. It's not going to get you the conversions that you need, especially not if you're in a competitive industry. So let's pretend that you're going $20 a day. You can apply this from a shared library, by the way, if you want to. You don't necessarily have to, but this is going to help you manage your budgets effectively. So we're going to leave this at $20 a day. Networks, remove video partners. This is the exact same thing as when Google likes to add display partners into search campaigns. There's nothing wrong with video partners on the display network. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. That's a separate campaign. We're going to target those entirely. And at that point, I want to choose the site that I'm going on inside of placements. So remove video partners. This isn't available to you anyway. And then we're just going to stick to YouTube videos. My targeting is the United States. If you wanted to enter another location, you could. And of course, Google has their standard advanced search, but we're just going to keep to the US for now. Your language you're going to keep is English. Now, I know in some search campaigns, we tell you to take language targeting off for display campaigns, and YouTube videos is technically a display campaign. You want to keep it in English to make sure that you're on English channels effectively. Let's take a look at our inventory. This is up to you. What Google is saying here is how explicit do you want the media to be able to get? Standard inventory on YouTube can still be pretty risque. If you've watched any YouTube videos, you know that it's the wild, wild west out there. So limited inventory is, like church videos and Bandcamp and really ultra-friendly stuff, very moderate profanity, moderate sexual suggestive content. Standard inventory is what I recommend. Here's the point that I'd like to make to you. The user is seeking out these YouTube videos and watching these YouTube videos. You're not going to be held responsible for them. There might be a slight association between your brand and what it is that they're seeing just subconsciously. So I don't know that I'd expand the inventory unless you have a product or a brand that, sort of lives into that, thematically speaking. So let's say you have a clothing brand that's really, aggressive and sort of not safe for work. Then you might want expanded inventory, but let's stick to standard inventory here. You can compare the inventory types if you want to, and that'll give you a good sense as to what's going on. For our exclusions, now we removed ourselves from the YouTube display, so in theory, we shouldn't be showing up here entirely, but I'm going to go ahead and exclude those anyway. I don't want to show up in embedded YouTube videos. If somebody's on somebody else's site, I don't want my ad on that site. Now, you might have a reason for it. You might be like, yeah, I'd love to appear, maybe it's a competitor site or whatever, but for my purposes here, and I think for most people's purposes, we want to show up when somebody's inside of the YouTube machine, because if they're on a website, they've articulated commercial intent in a different direction. They're headed off elsewhere, and I don't necessarily want to bank on the fact that I'm going to be able to rip them away. Same thing with live stream videos. Live stream videos are if somebody's watching somebody live, they probably really want to be there. And, the odds of us being able to tear them away are it's a little less likely. You can go decide whether or not you want to exclude yourself for, any of these other grading rates. What is it? Ratings. I'm going to leave those alone. This is interesting. This is one of the first times I've seen Google be this aggressive. But you can get 24% more conversions by adding extensions. This is absolutely true, by the way. Your ad rank banks off of your extensions. Now, I've got a ton of videos on how to add extensions, so I'm not going to go through this here. But let me just tell you, you have to do this. Critically important, critically important. Make sure that you're adding as many extensions as you possibly can, because this is going to help with the breadth of the expansion capabilities of your ad campaign in certain contexts. It's videos, so it's not going to be shown in the exact same way that it would be in search, but you still want to make sure that you have them. So you can click on adding extensions here. Here's where you add site linking extensions, and make sure that you're adding extensions. Don't skimp here. I'm not going to do it because there's no need for me to waste your time when there's other videos. Check out our YouTube channel for our videos on adding site link extensions. I think we've got a couple of them, but there's one in particular for sure that I know is pretty damn good because I made it. That's not a slight against John. It would have been good if he made it. Account level conversion settings. We've got videos on, tracking conversions. This is also critically important. You can use the account level conversion setting, which is perfectly fine. If you have multivariant conversion settings, multiple touch points, different conversion actions that you want to track, then you can choose the conversion actions that you're tracking for this specific campaign. No matter what you do, make sure you're tracking conversions. If you don't know whether or not you're tracking conversions, then stop this video and go figure out how to track conversions. We have videos on that too. I'll make sure to link to both of them. Let me make a note for myself, actually. Site link extensions and conversion tracking. I'll link to both of those videos in the description of this video, but you'd go to conversions and make sure that you have conversion tracking enabled. I'm going to stick with my account level conversion tracking because we have really basic conversions since I basically got one product. Devices, really important. Set specific targeting devices. We're going to turn off TV screens. And the reason we're doing that is because while people are watching more and more YouTube on their TV, the TV is less likely to allow them to take action because it's kind of like a, where's the remote situation. So for now and until this changes, I'd say kill TV screens, keep everything else. Normally, you might know if you've watched our other videos, I actually don't like device adjustments. But in this particular instance, I would remove TV screens unless you're going for heavy brand awareness. Frequency cap, don't do it. Well, let me back up. If you're going for conversions, Google's a machine learning mechanism. It's going to keep showing somebody an ad for as long as Google thinks that they're interested in it. And I trust Google to do that well. I don't always trust Google with everything, but I trust them here. So if we're going for conversions, don't set a frequency cap. If you set a frequency cap, you're going to get a broader reach. So if you're going for brand awareness, maybe you want a frequency cap. But I for now would leave both of these unchecked because this is a conversion-based campaign. And then ad schedule, same story as always. Don't mess with this until you start to see the performance of your campaign. Don't make assumptions on when people are going to view your media. Ad group, you can split your ad group up by offer. Remember that Google wants 5 videos to split test against each other. So you're going to have 5 videos inside of an ad group. And what you might want to do is, separate your ad groups thematically or by approach or by target, which incidentally, we're actually not going to do our targeting right here, even though Google wants us to. We're going to wait and we're going to build a custom audience later. So I'm just going to call this video campaign numero uno. Demographics, not touching this. 55% of Google's demographics are unknown anyway, and the other 45%, I don't know how good Google's information is, to be frank. I imagine it's probably getting a lot better, but I'm still going to leave it alone because I have yet to see front-end demographic segmentation help a campaign. So we're not going to set anything here. Audience, we're not going to set anything here either, but know that you could, if you wanted to, use your custom audiences, remarket audiences. They have ideas which are some combination of intent and in-market, what are the words looking for? Affinity and in-market, but not really. So I wouldn't use these. I'm going to show you where to go set our audiences in the next frame. Not entering keywords, same story, or topics or placements. Google's getting too myopic in their view here. And I think that there's a more effective way for us to target our audience. So here's where we create our ad. So let's go select a video. So remember, you need to already have your video created. And I'm just going to go with the very first one here. Oops. So we take a video that we've already shot and we drop it here. And this is a skippable in-stream ad, which is the video format. Now, there's a ton of other really cool video formats that you can use in different various manifestations across the video ecosystem. In-stream ads are the ones you think about. They're the ones that when somebody's about to watch a video and then your ad comes up and then they can skip it within 5 seconds. I really like in-stream ads. I think they're the most effective. Bumper ads are really cool. What is their sequencing ad? I just did a video on this. What's actually not even an ad type, but allows you to use kind of different ad manifestations. I'm just rambling now. Sorry. We're going to use skippable in-stream ad. Not that it's actually giving us any other options, but that's fine because that's the one that we want. So let's go get our URL. We're going to send them to soleil.com, and that's fine. Call to action. Now, I'm not doing this well, but make sure that your call to action and your headline are really compelling. Again, I'm just showing you the technical implementation. I'm not teaching you how to market yourself right now. The call to action is critically important. This is how you're telling somebody to engage with you. The headline is really important. You'll notice you only have 15 characters. So you're going to have to get creative here. It actually took me a minute to figure out how to squeeze that in there. URL advanced options for tracking. We're not going to use that now, but know they're available to you. If you know what these are, you know how to use them. If you don't know what they are, just ignore them for now. And then auto-generate using your channel banner. Yes. This is the companion banner. This is on computers, desktops only. And uploading an image makes it difficult. And it also, I think, hurts Google's responsive display capability. So I'd rather just let Google create the ads, which is generally the case. So now we're going to create campaign. And realize that I did a couple of things wrong here. You should have 5 videos. So go into the ad group and add additional videos. I'm going to pause this before it spends any money. You want 5 videos. Another task is trying to change this entity. How dare you? There we go. You should have 5 videos per ad group at a minimum. And Google does an amazing job at going, here are the videos that are working. So I've always been really, impressed with Google's capabilities here. But realize that I've got 1 video. You want to add 4 more videos. So don't forget to do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tools, Audience Manager. We're going to click our little button here and say Custom Audiences, sorry. And then say, click our little button. So let me back up to make sure you saw what I did, because I know I clicked really quickly. Tools, Audience Manager, Custom Audiences, plus button. And then we're just going to say test custom audience, whatever. Now, a couple of options here. This gets really fun, and you should spend a lot of time getting to know this section. This is where the magic is. 2 options right on the outset. People with any of these interests or person's intentions. So I sell Google Ads Management. So I can come in here and say Google Ads Management. Now, I'll probably, to be honest with you, just say Google Ads. And then here we go. Google Ads, AdWords to Google Ads. Google Ads new campaign. That's cool. Google Ads PPC campaign. So here's Google giving me really good recommendations. And it's letting me know the size of this market, which is massive. 69% non-parents. That's really interesting to me. I almost don't buy that. But let's back up. So you can do just basic interests, which is, kind of like targeting keywords. But it's nice because Google is looking for purchase intent, and Google is good at finding purchase intent. So this is a really great category. Now, if you want to get even more specific, this is where stuff gets nuts. Check this out. Ads.google.com. We can target people who have searched for any specific terms. Now, oftentimes, depending on your browser, and most browsers function this way, the search box and the URL browser end up being the same thing. And yet, people will end up entering a URL into the search bar, and then instead of going to the web address because of the way they entered it, it actually gives them a result that they follow after the fact. So what I can do is I can tell Google, I want to target anybody who has gone to ads.google.com. This is an amazing level of segmentation, because if I'm a Google Ads manager, I'm now getting in front of people that I know for a fact are running Google Ads. And think about this for your business. You can target competitors. Who's a competitor of mine? WordStream. Oh, I actually like WordStream. But we can dump WordStream on here and target them. And look at how much this expanded, by the way, the minute I added WordStream. That's super interesting to me. Now, there's a little bit of an expansion opportunity here. Who knows how Google is obsessed with privacy, so they're not going to give you everybody that goes directly to this website. But I think what you're doing is giving them an indication of, hey, these are the folks that I really want to get in front of. And notice that I've got a couple here. You have the HTTPS, depending on the way it's been entered. And then I'd also have the, sort of standalone. And if I wanted to target WordStream like this, I might do this. So here's the other piece is I would segment your targeting by ad group. So this is a really good example. I actually wouldn't target the Google Ads dashboard and WordStream in the same ad group. I would make the Google Ads dashboard one ad group, and then I'd make WordStream another ad group. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to see what's working. It's really hard to do that if you have, multivariate targeting inside of the same ad group. So play with this. Both of these are really good. The people with interest or purchase intent is probably better if you've never done this before, because it gives you kind of more expensive reach. But people have searched for something specifically is really good if you know your customer, you know what they're searching for, you know what website they're going to. Enter some websites, even some competitor websites, and it ends up being really cool. I honestly, I wouldn't go directly after a competitor standalone. I'm just Google Ads Agency. Maybe I'd start there. Cool, whatever. People who browse types of websites. This is kind of nifty depending on who you are and what you need. So you can enter some URLs. Again, this actually yields slightly different results than entering a web address here. We just ran a really awesome challenge for Shopify store owners, and we got in front of Shopify store owners, and we did it using this selection and then the Shopify login dashboard. And realize there too that when you go log into Shopify, I think it's mystore.shopify. Is that it? Did I make that up? No. Whatever it is. Shopify has a separate login URL. So if you want to get super wicked ninja, here we go, login. Yeah, it's accounts.shopify.com. So you can jump onto accounts.shopify.com and target that URL. So instead of targeting Shopify, which is every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's ever looked at Shopify site, you're targeting accounts.shopify, which means you're targeting people who are logging into Shopify. Now, some people have their own custom login URLs, so be aware of that. But it's, again, just kind of a pro tip for you. Find the login page of a website, and that shows you who the really, really engaged users are. But you can have other website browsing. Here, I think this is more kind of like interest-based, but based off of URLs. And, Google has more data on this than anybody on the planet because everybody's using Google Analytics. And bet money they're using that to pipe right back into here. Types of apps that they're using. So, like, I might use Google Ads because Google Ads has an app. And then people who visited certain places. So, like the chiropractor, for instance. Health food stores, community centers, beauty and wellness locations, massage therapists. There I go. So if I was, in the spa space, I can say, hey, put me in front of people who have visited these particular places. I'm not going to do that because I'm not in that space. And then you'd save the audience. I'm not going to save it because I already have a testing audience here. But what we're going to do is go back to all my campaigns, find my test video campaign. And now remember, we're targeting based off of ad group. So you're not going to add your audience here at the campaign level. You're going to select the ad group. And then inside of the ad group, we're now going to go to audiences, add audience, custom audience. And then I've got my testing audience here. Save. Ta-da! We did it. Couple of notes here. I don't use keywords inside of the video targeting, but you can use negative keywords. I know that sounds really counterintuitive, but it kind of helps push people away that you don't want. And we have seen something of a sculpting capability here. So, if somebody's using like cheap or free or learn or jobs, those are things that let Google know, like, hey, I actually want to stay away from people that are searching for these particular terms. You can use placements if you want to, but for placements, it's placements or audiences. And actually, let me show you something really cool. This is wicked cool. So I can choose a specific YouTube channel that I want to target. So let's say I want to target my buddy Uzair. SF Digital. How do I go find Uzair's YouTube? And by the way, Uzair's a friend of mine and a really sharp cat. Here we go. He does Google Ads videos too. You should absolutely subscribe to his channel if you haven't yet. But I'm going to pretend, let's say that I want to do a snake all of Uzair's. Bam, here's SF Digital. Now, realize that you're only going to be able to appear on Uzair's channel if he has monetization enabled, and I don't think he does. So this doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to work every single time, but what's cool about it is you get to go find the people that your customers are looking at, and you can select specific YouTube channels for placement. And then you can also select specific videos. So I can be like, oh, I only want this video and this video. And then, websites and apps, of course, same story. But you can get it really, really, really ultra granular. It starts to get kind of nutty, to be honest with you. But the same thing that I want to same point that I made with the ad groups in audiences. Separate your segmentation by ad group. So if you have an audience applied to ad group A, don't apply placements to it because that turns into an and, which means that somebody has to be inside of this audience and within this placement, which gets way too myopic. Now you might hear that and say, oh, that's great. I actually want to get that specific, which is cool. But you're going to end up with very little traffic. So it'll be hyper focused. What I'd recommend doing is have ad group A go to audience A, ad group B go to audience B, ad group C go to placement C, and then start to test the efficacy of those ad groups. And in each instance, you have 5 videos per ad group. That's an absolute total complete prerequisite. Looking at my notes, just want to see if there's anything else I want to tell you. No, that's it. I hope this has been valuable, and I hope we continue to be valuable to you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, why? Why have you not done that? Why rely on your memory? Just hit subscribe. And then every time I shoot a video, which is every day, you get a notification and you get awesome Google Ads recommendations. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Comment if you have any ideas or questions or whatever. I actually answer those personally. And other than that, appreciate you watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.